Well, political commentator Gabriella Hoffman joined us from just outside Washington, D.C. She's a Young Voices contributor and columnist. With family in Eastern Europe, she can assess the US involvement so far for us. Gabriella, hello, welcome to the programme.
Thank you, Callum, for having me. Good morning.
So it's our understanding then that the US is going to send, about $1 billion in weapons to Ukraine. So we've got tactical drones, rockets, grenade launchers, rifles, machine guns, body armour, ammunition, all on the way. Where would you place the US's leadership when it comes to the war in Ukraine? Are they leading the pack here?
I don't know if you could say that they are leading the pack. The response from the United States, unfortunately, was very slow, according to different Ukrainian experts I've spoken to here in the States and abroad. A lot of people wish that President Biden would have deployed these resources a lot sooner, especially ahead of the planned invasion of Ukraine. People are certainly delighted to see that they are starting to make movement, like a better late than never situation, but they wish that a lot of this aid and military supplies and equipment and ammunition and firearms could have come a lot sooner.
Is the delay, what do you put the delay down to? Is it a lack of willingness from Joe Biden to be a part of this? What is it? Can we read into that?
I think it was sadly, unfortunately, a weakness on his part. We have learned here in the States that he wants to negotiate another Iran deal, and Russia is a broker in that deal. So I don't know if he was worried about angering them or angering or ticking them off in some sense with that. We don't know if that's perhaps the hesitation. We've also seen that President Zelensky wants to essentially lead the role in defending his country. It's very notable. He doesn't want to have any escape route. He was obviously saying that famous line, "I don't need a ride, I need ammunition." So he's really shown and exuded a lot of leadership, and he wants to be the person to lead his country to maintain their freedom, to lean more and kind of hearken more to the West, which is how most Ukrainians feel. They feel very close with the West. And certainly they speak Russian, but Ukrainian is a very different language. And the Russian language was largely forced onto them during the Soviet time. That's something I think a lot of people don't recall there. But I think Zelensky is exuding a lot of leadership. A lot of people have joked in my inner circle and in other political commentary circles that Zelensky is arguably the leader of the free world now. Yeah. But maybe Joe Biden will be able to prove his critics wrong and prove critics wrong like myself and show and exude some leadership. So it remains to be seen what exactly he'll be done a lot more. A lot of people are very frustrated with his mixed messaging, talking out loud about what his strategy will be, and somehow obviously not leaving the Russians in surprise with their tactics. So a lot of experts I've spoken to have said like his mixed messaging and outwardness has really kind of been unsettling. They wish he would withhold comment a bit more on that, but it's kind of a mixed bag with his kind of approach to Ukraine so far. So people see Zelensky obviously rightly leading here as he should, and then forcing European nations to amp up their defense spending to supply more, offer humanitarian aid, weapons, things of that sort.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the kind of spontaneous nature of Joe Biden's leadership, let's have a little listen to this, which is President Biden calling Putin a war criminal for the first time. Until this moment, the administration had really avoided using that phrase, even though the International Criminal Court has already begun an investigation. He made the remarks to reporters after an event at the White House.
Mr. President, after everything we've seen, are you ready to call Putin a war criminal?
No.
Are you ready to meet with us?
You asked me whether I would call.
He's a war criminal, sir. Are you ready
I think he is a war criminal.
Will you be meeting with us?
So, I mean, it sounds a bit like a pantomime, to be honest. He said no at first, and then he changed his mind and thinks that Putin is a war criminal. There's been an angry reaction from the Kremlin, which you might imagine. I suppose the question here, Gabriella, is what this does for the Biden administration in terms of working with the Russians going forward. Does this cause tension and difficulty?
It certainly would. But like I had mentioned, there's a lot of chatter and reports coming out that the Biden administration wants to broker a deal in reestablishing the Iran nuclear deal. And Russia, like I said, is a big player at the table for that. So is he being cautious to not anger them for a deal down the road, even though Russia is seen as a pariah? It should have been seen as a pariah a long time ago. I think a lot of people were coddling Russia, many countries in Europe and outside of Europe as well. And people kind of dismissed Russia as a threat for the longest time, saying that it kind of falls second to China. Although Russia and China have cooperated, and Russia has shared a lot of and exported a lot of ideas to China, especially last century, with obviously a penchant for communism, then and certainly kind of collectivist inklings even today and such. But I don't know where this mixed messaging is coming from. It's kind of imprudent of him to do that. And he has to be clear. Is he a war criminal or not? Given the actions that have been transpiring in Ukraine, the death of innocent civilians, certainly he can be and should be labeled a war criminal, very terroristic in nature as well. This is a KGB agent in action. And I often hear from my parents and family, even though my family is from Lithuania, which is very close to Ukraine, that it changed from the hand of Soviet types to KGB types, who are not really different, but a lot more, let's say, aggressive and a lot more merciless and very, very kind of exhibiting of this behavior, merciless and just very unrepentful.
Gabriella, really good to get your analysis. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining the programme.
Thank you for having me.
That's political commentator Gabriella Hoffman joining us from, just near to Washington, D.C. this morning.